So like an operator, a government official, and a banker walk into a bar, right?
Things were very different in 2002, right? We didn't have streaming, we didn't have YouTube, Netflix, Zoom, all this remote work, remote education, none of that was even a consideration. So we're going to build our own fiber networks. There was a lot of discussion of, do we do retail? Do we do open access? They said at the end of the day, we are not really here to compete with the private sector. We started this whole process trying to get the private companies to provide better broadband. In 2008, I would not be seen wearing a Utopia shirt outside of the office. I might get rocks thrown at me. Things have changed dramatically. Our cities are all very happy.
Let's just use the FCC's definition. You can get it in 10 days, okay? How many homes do you have?
Get it in 10 days? All of them.
100%.
100% of people say, who do you work for at the end of the day? And I have actually 2 boards made up of representatives from the cities. So my bosses are city managers, mayors, city council members, whoever those cities decide they want to represent them on our board. Representing over 5 million people in this area, so it's a big area. And they're looking to do broadband, and there's a lot of programs in California for subsidies and grants and things like that, so they're collectively working to greenlight some project areas. Our largest provider actually is our highest price provider, so we don't like the idea that it becomes a race to the bottom. We want to be building these networks and making these investments to see the success of these companies. Compared to the hundreds of millions of dollars that we've invested in fiber, their investment is still very small to get access to the 220,000 addresses or so that we have passed.
We've spent billions of dollars building this network. Why should we open it to anyone else?
When you're dealing with cities and municipalities that lack infrastructure, how do you build that up so that it's enticing for these ISPs to even come into our space?
Imagine if there were a federal government program to invest in broadband, and imagine if it should have requirements or rules or maybe even just nudges to make such networks open access.
You have communities out here that 40 to 50% of the residents do not have access to reliable internet access. You have 70% out of some communities where their speeds are almost dial-up speeds. So when if we're going to have this conversation, we should really sit back and I think we have to make it enticing, because the larger ISPs, they don't have any vested interest in this conversation, right? If they already have a monopoly on certain market space, then they don't want any competitors to come into that area.
The government, the municipalities, the states, if they layer in these requirements, they're more than welcome to do it because it's public money, right? But at the end of the day, they should be prepared to come and build a network if the private guys aren't going to do it. The key thing to keep in mind is it is okay for a market to have 2 networks. In case of Utopia, if you have 18 ISPs riding on the network, I bet a lot of them are not making money. You just cannot have so many competitors in a market. It's just a difficult business to be in. Consolidation is definitely on the cards. We're starting to see a little bit of it play out already with T-Mobile going and entering into these joint ventures with Metronet and Lumos and signing these wholesale agreements.
I am paying a $35 monopoly tax effectively because they don't have any competition. Why would they lower their price, right? Yeah.